I'm here with somebody you know, Stephen A. Smith, who's actually a good friend of mine, folks. And every now and then we email back and forth or text back and forth. He doesn't always agree with me. Might be in his car, hear me on radio, say, hey, what's that all about? Or that guy's a good guy. Or I agree with you. It's interesting. He's got a fantastic best-selling book out, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes. Stephen A. Smith, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
First question is, lots of politics in sports these days. Is that a good or bad thing?
Well, it depends on the circumstances and the situation. Certainly, I think that I'm not an advocate of athletes, shutting up and dribble. I'll tell you that. What I will say is that when you speak on a plethora of issues, you got to have some idea what you're talking about. I don't think it's beyond the pale for the public or for pundits and commentators such as yourself, myself, and various others, not wanting them to do so if they have something to say, but wanting them to be quiet if they don't have anything to say and you're just talking to be talking. But I would remind you that particularly with today's modern day athlete, the money that is put out there, the relationships that are cultivated between them and advertisers and sponsors, and the belief of how that impacts our society, I think it's incredibly important that if you're asking them to be all of those things, to sell product and what have you, then they certainly have a right to speak on the state of affairs in our society. They just need to know what they're talking about, and they need to be fair-minded when they do so.
Do you think when it comes to communist China, there's a bit of hypocrisy in terms of the criticism of our country and our government versus basically the silence when it comes to communist China?
Yeah, we could make that argument, and I don't think that anybody could refute it. Here's my issue, Mark. When you're talking about the athlete themselves, it's just like when Phil Mickelson and all of these guys got involved and with Live Golf and what have you, and golfers were willing to do business with Saudi Arabia. What the American public needs to understand is that it's far easier to hold somebody like Phil Mickelson, Gary Player, or other folks accountable. But our government does business with these people. If you're so abhorred and you find it so reprehensible to do business with these countries as individuals, and you have people that want to bring the hammer down and bring rain down upon these folks that decide to earn a living doing business with these folks, then why are we not holding our government to the same level of accountability? And that, I think, is a problem that is pervasive in our society today. On far too many occasions, we're holding people accountable. They have nothing to do with raising our taxes. They have nothing to do with protecting our borders. They have nothing to do with the economy, with inflation, with recession, with all of these things, education, welfare reform, the list goes on and on. They have nothing to do with that. They're just athletes, okay, that are out there performing and trying to entertain and make an honest living doing so. We would hold them accountable. But politicians who are supposed to be prioritizing all of these things, who legislate our lives and govern our lives, they get to do business with these folks? There's something hypocritical about that, and I think that's where the argument comes in. The money is flowing in a certain direction. If everybody gets an opportunity to participate in that, including our government, then everybody should be excoriated for it. And if you're not going to excoriate everybody, don't excoriate anybody. That's where I stand with it.